Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Man Mouth. In the house is Lewis Eddie Wise.
How's it going, everyone?
So, all right, we have a busy show on hand for ourselves today. We're going to lead off with Ryan Stillroot. Ryan, what do you got?
Well, to start it off, pulling up the first one. Marlon Mack, after having I want to say it was a broken finger or a broken spot in his wrist. I can't remember which one it was. However, he is back fully cleared to practice, which for those who were able to pick him up off of waivers is a huge thing, because he could provide a lot of value in the next couple weeks for the fantasy playoffs. I do hesitate this week to play him due to the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of the best defenses in the league at stopping the run. They've only had a couple of teams, one being the Seahawks, that have had a running back put over 100 yards on them yet this season, and so they're definitely very tough against the run, which could be a little tough for Marlon Mack's first game back. That being said, he should be in really good shape for the playoffs coming up through the next couple of weeks.
Okay, Austin Hooper, you say practicing and should be back this week. Explain.
He is practicing. I want to say that him and one of their other running, I want to say it's a lineman, have practiced 3 times this week now. So that means that Austin Hooper, as far as we can tell, as of right now, should be back, ready to go. I believe that actually Devonta Freeman is also ready to go for this game for Atlanta. So that is a huge boost to their offense. I'm somewhat hesitant in terms of using Freeman for this week, just because even when he's been healthy before the injury, he has struggled. And even though this is a matchup against the Carolina offense, it's one of the worst, or Carolina defense, it's one of the worst against running backs. Freeman just has not shown a lot of consistency all year. So while I hesitate to use him, Austin Hooper, before he got injured, was the number 1 tight end in fantasy. I think that he should be in for a decent role with coming back off of the injury. So
okay, now Dalvin Cook says he'll be out there playing on Sunday. I know he has a scrimmage this week against the Detroit Lions.
Yes, so the Lions are one of the worst defenses in the league overall, and especially I want to say they're in one of the top 10 in terms of giving up fantasy points to the running back position. And so Dalvin Cook has said that he is going to be out there playing. From our last show, we talked about how Dalvin Cook suffered an injury in the Seahawks game, where basically he has like a clavicle injury in his shoulder, where it's basically he got hit in the same spot that he got hit in the Broncos game. It was painful then, but he had the bye week to kind of recover and get ready for the Seahawks game. Well, now getting hit again, they took him out and basically sat him the entire second half in order to kind of, as a precaution, to make sure that he could be healthy for this game. So he should be good to go. For those in fantasy, if it's possible to still pick up Alexander Madison as a backup, kind of as a handcuff to Cook, I think it would still be a good idea. He still has some favorable the Vikings still have some favorable matchups coming down the next couple of weeks in terms of their fantasy schedule.
Okay, you said Derrick Henry was limited at practice.
Derrick Henry was limited at practice. I think this is more of managing reps for a star player. I have not seen specifically what the quote unquote injury is for the limitation. However, he has just an absolutely phenomenal matchup this week going up against Oakland. I really think that he is going to be one of the top probably 3 running backs this week in terms of fantasy scoring. I believe I have him right now ranked as number 2 on SkullKingFootball.com. So I think I have him as my number 2 running back for this week. So he should put up big numbers. I really think for the most part they're probably just managing his reps before going into this game.
Okay, one other note, then I'll even give you a chance to predict a few games. How's that sound? All right.
Sounds good.
Adam Thielen is struggling to come back from his hamstring injury. Boy, those hamstring injuries hurt. I've had them, and again, there aren't too many health ailments I haven't had. Although there are a few I haven't had, but there are quite a few I have had. All right, we'll talk about the hammy.
So the hamstring injury, hamstrings are always tough to deal with, just in general. They take soft tissue injuries can be re-aggravated very, very, very quickly, very easily. In terms of, there's a quote online from Mike Zimmer, the Vikings head coach, on Adam hamstring. Basically said he's frustrated. I think he's got a good opportunity this week to play, so we'll see. He's working really hard. He obviously wants to get out there with these guys. He's a great competitor, and when he's ready, he's ready. The problem is we just haven't seen him actually be ready yet. So as far as we can tell so far, even if he plays this week against Detroit, I think he's run more out there as more of a kind of a distraction and kind of trying to pull some coverage off of Stephon Diggs and old VC Johnson, and letting them get a little bit more work. And against the Detroit defense, it has really struggled just overall in general this year. So.
Yeah, non-existent under Matt Patricia. Food for another day. Let's go to some games, including the one tonight that's going on in about, let's say, 10 or 15 minutes. The Dallas Cowboys are in Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Having been in the Bears Stadium before, I know it gets cold and it gets windy, and Lake Michigan is a beast. Who you picking?
I want to say that Dallas could actually win this game because the team they're playing against does not have a winning record.
Well, that's true. They're 6-6, so neither of them are 6.
Yeah, both teams are 6-6 going into this game. So I think that gives Dallas a chance in this one. I really think that if Dallas will win this game if they continue to pound the rock with Zeke. One thing that I saw that you'll notice in the last week's loss on Thanksgiving, when they lost to the Bills, Zeke did not touch the ball in the entire fourth quarter. They went straight to the passing game and did not involve Zeke at all. And so I think that in this game I think they'll come back to that. They'll pound the rock with Zeke. I don't think that there's enough offensive weapons for the Bears to overcome the strong defense of the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm picking the Cowboys. With the wind, it's probably going to be a little bit of a low-scoring game, so I'll say 17-10 Cowboys.
All right, very good. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to do some home cooking for you with the time we got. The Seattle Seahawks against the LA Rams, I believe that's Monday night, isn't that?
That is the Monday night showdown. That's Sunday night. Sunday night. Monday night is New York, is the Giants, with Eli coming back against Philly.
That's right. Okay.
So in the Sunday night game, the Seahawks versus the Rams, I'm trying not to be a homer, but looking at how well this Seahawks offense is playing, and they're playing well without Tyler Lockett playing well. Now they're going to need him down the stretch, obviously, and they're going to need to get him more involved. But DK Metcalf has been, other than a few untimely fumbles, has been a very solid contributor. DK Metcalf and Jacob Hollister have been the top 2 targets in that offense over the last few weeks, and I think that continues. I think they will find new ways to get Tyler Lockett involved. And once that happens, the fact that Penny and Carson have been playing so well, I think this bodes well for the Seattle offense, and the Seattle defense has been playing great as well. So it's going to be tough for the Rams in this game. It's going to be tough for Seattle playing in LA, but I still am going to pick Seattle. Goff has been horrible except for last week where he played against the non-existent Cardinals defense. So I'm putting my money on Russell Wilson, and I'm going to say that this game may be a high scoring game like this last Monday night was. So I'm going to say Seattle wins this one, 35-31.
Okay, two more I'm going to ask you to comment on. Let's go with the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, or maybe three, time permitting.
All right, so in this, I really think that Minnesota comes back and really puts it to the Lions in this one. I don't see the Lions being extremely competitive. The Minnesota defense has struggled, and so they're still going to give up yards. I think that David Blau could still have a decent game passing the ball to Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. However, there has not been a single team that has run the ball against the Vikings like Seattle did in Monday night's game. So that being said, it's going to take some running of the ball with Bo Scarborough in order to open up the passing lanes, I believe, for the Lions. So I think that Minnesota wins this one. I think that they get back on the winning track. It's going to be in Minnesota, so I'll say Minnesota wins this one 28-17.
Okay. The Washington Redskins travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, this one's going to be ugly for Washington, to be completely honest. I think that Green Bay should be in for a decent game. The Washington defense overall hasn't been great. I think that Rodgers should put up solid numbers, and really it's been what's been the kind of the story for the Green Bay Packers is how much Davante Adams has been inconsistent this year overall. He was the one guy that everyone thought was going to be the most consistent with how well he produced last year, just over and over and over again, every single game, either a touchdown or 70 yards, period, at minimum. And this year, even since he came back from the injury, it's just been all over the map. So that being said, I think that he gets on track well enough. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams should put up decent numbers against what's becoming a better Washington Redskins defense, but still not great. They're still very middle of the road in many aspects. So for me, I think Green Bay wins this one. Say 24-13.
And your last game of the night will be the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I think this game is fighting for the cellar in the AFC East. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm putting this out there. I think that it's kind of been all over, but I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to win some fantasy leagues for a lot of people. Because if you look at his last three games, I believe he plays. He plays the Jets. He plays. I want to say the Bengals in week 16. He plays the New York Giants in week 15. So I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick puts up some great numbers over the next 3 weeks, and this week I think that he does the same against the Jets defense that has really struggled to show consistency. They did well in that 3-game stretch, and then last week got shut out really got pounded by a very underwhelming Cincinnati Bengals team. So I think that Fitzpatrick puts up some good numbers. It'll be interesting to see if Le'Veon Bell can actually get anything going this year. Devontae Parker from Miami, he is going to help win some leagues as well. I think that Miami actually does come and win this one and gets their 4th win of the season over the Jets. I'm going to say that Miami wins this one 21-17.
Okay. Well, Ryan, just so you know, over the next few weeks during the holidays, we're going to have an abbreviated schedule. I'll let you know exactly what that'll be over the next couple of days. So, but meanwhile, you have your regular show next week. Of course, I want to keep you on schedule with Wednesdays, and we'll have abbreviated programs over the next few weeks. So, meanwhile, Ryan, good work tonight, and have yourself a great weekend. Think about Candy and I, and even David Levin, because we're going to be up in Jacksonville this weekend when the Chargers take on the Jaguars. Lewis, anything you want to add before Ryan goes?
No, I mean, good points. A lot of interesting tidbits about players who could make a difference in divisions that are really close.
Okay. All right, Ryan, well done, buddy, and we'll do it again. We'll talk soon. God bless you and your family. All right, partner?
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What are your thoughts, pal? You learn anything?
Yeah, so I'm not